Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Friday night, 9 o'clock, time for the First Alert Weather Show here. And I'm glad you're along. We have some weather to talk about this weekend, including the chance for some severe storms. We'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. As always, if you have questions, comments, you can put them on the 14 News Facebook page. You'll see the comment section on there. We're also on YouTube and on the app, but you can't, I think you can actually comment in on YouTube. But I tend to watch the Facebook stuff. That seems to be a little more immediate. So anyway, there we are. Let's get right into it. First off, we have a First Alert weather day for Saturday. And our biggest concern, I think, will be in the afternoon. A few of the thunderstorms, if they can get going, may produce damaging wind gusts. And we may see some locally heavy rainfall and even a flash flooding risk in spots and some hail in there too. Tornado risk really not showing for tomorrow. I don't think we have enough shear in the atmosphere, wind shear, to really kick those off. Doesn't mean we won't have one, it's just the risk is very, very low. Here's the risk as it stands this evening, and that big line of storms that was coming across northern Illinois and Missouri has weakened somewhat, still organized. I'll show you that on the radar in a minute. And then tomorrow we have that level 1 or marginal risk across the tri-state for the afternoon and evening, and it actually carries through to Sunday as well. So a couple rounds or lines of storms are probable over the weekend. Flooding is probably the overall, that and damaging winds that will affect everybody if we have the storms. Hail would be more localized to the stronger or more severe storms. The timing on this still looks like it will be during the afternoon. Our model honing in on about 2 o'clock across southern Illinois and then pushing into southwest Indiana, western Kentucky between about 3 and 4. And that's when we would have that damaging wind threat and heavy rain potential. Storms move out, we clear out, probably foggy on Sunday morning if we get any rain. And then by Sunday afternoon, again, more of a scattered pattern out there, but still some thunderstorms, and some could be strong to severe on Sunday as well. A little lower risk for that, though, on Sunday. Our radar is quiet right now, but if we go out a few hundred miles, that line of storms that was pretty strong earlier, still kicking out some warnings out here to the east of Kansas City. Most of the warnings have dried up, but we really had quite a thing going out here around Rockford and the Quad Cities earlier. Everything, though, has quieted down significantly there in northern Illinois. The line of storms reaching Chicago here by about 10 o'clock. And then I was showing you this other batch here, basically moving along I-70 and south of it, and again some strong to severe storms there with damaging wind potential. Temperatures, really no variety here. We are stuck in the 90s as we usually are in July, and the heat index, while triple digits are possible, we're not looking at quite the dangerous situation that we had a couple weeks ago with that heat wave. We're not expecting a prolonged period at those levels. All right, we always like to look at the GFS rainfall over the next week to get a sense for how wet it's going to be, and it still is kicking out a little over an inch of rainfall in the next week, so that would probably account for the showers and storms we're anticipating tomorrow and Sunday, and then whatever else we can pick up along the way, but it'll come in fits and starts. The national temperatures now, we still are roasting out here to the west. Phoenix at 106, Las Vegas at 106, dry 106, but still pretty darn warm. And then here in the Midwest, in the Ohio Valley, we still have upper 80s showing here even at 9 o'clock at night. Current temps in the region hinge pretty much on where those thunderstorms are. You see like Des Moines and Kansas City, Des Moines at 68, Kansas City 79. Storms are about right here, and then out ahead of it we have that warm, humid air that will fuel the storms for a while. They're not going to make it into the tri-state overnight, but then everything will kind of rekindle tomorrow during the day. We hit 95 today. It was pretty hot there during the peak of the afternoon, and so we've had our 2 hottest days here of the week back to back, 94, 95. Just like we did last Friday on the 4th of July there And on Saturday, no additional rainfall measured at Evansville Regional Airport. So our monthly stat, we're still, of course, much warmer than normal, but drier than normal too with the lack of rain. Tomorrow, temperatures in the low 90s again, probably 90 to 95 without any hesitation. And then depending on when that cold front arrives or what's left of the cold front, we will have the showers and storms that will knock that temperature back just a bit. You can kind of see where that front is by the afternoon, and it is not very well defined. I mean, the line of storms is, but not much cooler behind it. It's basically will kind of wash out, blend into our warm air mass, and so we're not going to see a refreshingly cool turnabout in the weather. We're going to see a few thunderstorms, and it'll just stay hot and humid right on into next week. Speaking of next week, we have a daily chance for storms, at least Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then by Thursday, Friday, perhaps a little break there in the action as we get into the weekend. 75 degrees tonight with partly cloudy skies, and then tomorrow we come roaring back into the low 90s. Best chance for thunderstorms will come after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, a few may be severe, which is why we have that first alert weather day for tomorrow. And then a daily chance for rain, hot and humid, highs in the 90s, lows in the 70s. I bet you've heard that. I know I've said it at least 100 times, so if you've been listening, you've heard it that many times too. Same old song. Longer range temperature outlook, still warm, warmer than normal, up through the 21st, and wetter than normal too. And our pet pick, this is Cookie from Annalise Conaway. Happy dog there. I think this was taken when the weather was a little cooler. Cookie might be a little crumbly with this kind of heat and humidity out there now. But anyway, we'll let Cookie watch over my shoulder here while I answer your questions. We got Laura Gray in there from Dawson Springs. Hey Laura, good to have you. Cheyenne Hammonds is on. Jeff Miller, now he needs some rain. Okay, so I'm assuming now you've run out of stuff to do. And let's see, you did the processed corn and you did blackberries, right? So yes, we do need rain. I don't know if you irrigate or sprinkle your garden, but hopefully over the weekend everybody will get some rain and kind of stave off any sort of drought that may try to sneak in here. We're a long way from drought, but you know, it's nice to keep the rain coming so stuff doesn't start turning brown. Jennifer Peacock is on. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? Glad to have you with us tonight. Lacey Martin was going to do some things in Owensboro yesterday. I remember your comment, and you did some shopping today in Owensboro. Good. You're helping economic development here in the tri-state. Jeanette Rice is on. Sergeant Williams. I will be delivering on the west tomorrow, hoping for a cool front. Okay. I hope for a cool front too, for your sake. Don't know what you're delivering. Maybe you should deliver some cool air. We'll put you to work here in the weather department. Caston Lowry. Hey, Caston. Hope your weather studies are going well out there. William Raleigh finally got a new pet pick with a train. All right, I'll have to check that out. If you put it, if you posted it there to 14news.com, we'll have that on when I'm on again here. Carolyn Faye Lovelace watching from Hopstadt, and they need rain up there too in Gibson County. I know. I noticed today I mowed my grass, and you can tell when we get to this time of the summer. First off, the grass isn't as thick and slippery, you know, when you cut it. And secondly, there are like select areas that grow, mainly those partial shades. If you're in full sun, seems like, at least in my yard anyway, it doesn't grow as fast. It needs kind of that cool, damp area, I suppose, to grow a little better. So, yeah. All right, let's have a little science corner here. This has to do with storm form and evolution. And what I mean by that is how the storms come together and then the shape that they take, right? And by looking, and you all, since you're on the weather show every night, you know this stuff anyway, so consider this just a refresher course. But we all know, I think, that when we have lines of storms, that's when we worry about damaging winds, and we call that an organized line. Sometimes these complexes like that can extend for hundreds of miles. We would call that a derecho. Shorter distance ones, I call it a squall line. Some of the fancier names would be a quasi-linear convective system, a mesoscale convective complex, etc. But the basis here is that we go through the thunderstorm life cycle just like we would for any thunderstorm. The difference with a line of storms is you have all of them forming at once. And so when they reach that mature stage, they continue to move along. And as opposed to an isolated thunderstorm like this, they continue to regenerate within that line. So you don't really get a complete removal of storms. They are constantly going, and that's a much different scenario than pop-up type thunderstorms, which last about 30 to 45 minutes, and then their outflow boundary creates a new storm. When we have linear storms, or a line like we're looking at tonight, those tend to kind of take on a life of their own. Now, I already showed you the single cell, which can produce the heavy rain and gusty winds and so on. Supercells are really reserved more toward tornadoes and very large hail, things like that. We do get supercells here. They're mainly kind of associated with plains weather, in Oklahoma, Missouri, and places like that, Nebraska, Kansas. But we can certainly have them and do have them here from time to time. This time of the year, though, seems to favor, at least in my experience, linear systems, either a line or sometimes a mesoscale convective system. And those typically are going to produce damaging winds, and occasionally you'll get tornadoes embedded in there. And then with the MCS, or the mesoscale convective system, oftentimes you get, again, gusty winds, heavy rain, and depending on how that's lined up with the steering currents, you can get repetitive or training rain. Another way to look at it is sometimes we get storms that form, apart, and then they merge together. And once they do that and form a line, the line actually works as a unit then to evolve and bring damaging winds or whatever it is across a very wide swath. If it's long enough, it would have to be about 240 miles to be classified as a derecho. And another way to think of that is you have to have wind gusts of at least 58 miles an hour along most of the path of a derecho, and you need several well-separated 75-mile-an-hour or greater wind gusts along there. Weather Service is very specific about classification, especially on derechos. But this is the time of year we get them, typically June, July, and late May produce the most derechos. We typically will have one or maybe two through here, or one every 1 or 2 years. So that's a little bit about derechos for you here. I will check questions one more time. Cheyenne wants to know if it's going to storm tonight. No, it's not. Probably not until tomorrow afternoon. Haven't picked up the yard yet from kids playing. Well, why would you? They're just going to go out there and get it all riled up again, too. Sergeant Williams is a FedEx driver for the west side of Evansville. Well, I've probably seen you before. You've probably seen me, and we didn't know it. If I was out on my bike, I had my costume on. You probably didn't know what I look like under there. Well, we appreciate all of our delivery folks, whether it's Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, Prime. you have DoorDash. I mean, you have all these folks that deliver in this kind of heat. So that's a major thing. How are your knees holding out? My neighbor, a good friend, Randy Babb, deceased now, but lived across the street from me and years ago, and he was a UPS driver. I think he was, yeah, UPS. And man, getting in and out of that truck, however many times a day he did that, it took a toll on his knees. So hats off to all of you that are doing that. All right, Zach Fisher, we're going to have any tornadoes tomorrow? Nope, I don't think so. Linda Hipschman, not getting notifications, just trying to remember 9 p.m. streaming. Well, I sent a notification. Let me see if I got it. I got it. So maybe restart your phone is one way to do it. You can delete and re-add the app. Sometimes that'll do it. Make sure your notifications are turned on, stuff like that. Tie a string around your finger the low-tech way. Write it on your hand the way I do, and you'll have it in there. All right. I think we've covered all the bases. I'm going to be away next week, so you will have a variety of guest hosts in here. Well, it's either going to be Arden or Michael for the most part. So anyhow, they will have you covered, and then I'll see you when I see you. It'll be a week from Monday. Anyway, in the meantime, please stay safe, and thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.